Today is the 18th of April 2024. This will be our fourth video on equation of the lines. Okay. Thank you everyone who have subscribed to our channel. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed and you like the channel, can you consider subscribing, please? I will appreciate that a lot. If you subscribe, you get your own notification, you watch, okay? And if the account is not yours, please ask permission. Don't use people's stuff anyhow, okay? The account is not yours. Ask permission or ask somebody to help you open your own account, okay? And then when you get our video and you watch, you share, like, okay, follow, etc. At this time, people are going to write exams, so mental health is very high because they don't know whether they've studied enough. Okay, on this platform, I'm trying to give you tips of how you can look at a question and not be intimidated, and how you can get as much mark as possible. As I've shown you, okay, we've done a lot of past papers. It's easy to achieve the C, the minimum grade of C. You can easily achieve that, okay? If you take the marks seriously, okay, and don't just look at the question and move on, or go and sit in the exam room. After 30 minutes, it's like, I can't even do it. You haven't even critically read the questions, okay? Some of them are so easy. All you have to do is to just sit down, read the first few sentences, and you have an idea what to do, okay? So please, in the comment section you'll see follow my notes like script, okay? So for instance, this is for the starter. You can see 90 degrees here, okay? So if you hear anything apart from 90 and it's a right angle here, okay, apart from 90, follow the notes, okay? I appreciate that a lot. Beware of scammers, okay? I think that is why it's better to have your own account, okay? Because on your page, you know your friends, okay? Don't fall for people saying, we want you to donate to charity under this platform, and then they'll send you bank accounts and you donate to them. I'm not asking for donation, okay? If I need to say something, you will hear it in the video, okay? You hear my voice in the video. Thank you very much. Let's look at the recap. We watched last video for recap. I'll recommend it, okay? We are looking at equations of lines, and it will help you a lot, okay? It's one of the questions. If it can, it's graph work. Aside plotting and looking for the region, if you follow through and do the question well, you can get full marks, okay? So we are looking at equation of lines, but instead of just the equal to, we have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. This will be our fourth video, And in the beginning, I showed you the less than and the greater line, it doesn't touch the line. Or you can use broken lines to represent those. Okay, so the less than and the greater than lines. So if s is greater than 0, you go and draw x equals 0, but you find the region where x is greater than 0, and you just use broken lines, or you shade that portion and it won't touch the line. If it's greater or equal, you can use this, you use the straight line, okay, and then you shade. Here it touches the line, okay, so that is the region. So I just did one graph each, and now we are at that stage where you do 3 graphs and you find the region. And then I showed you how I was taught to find the region, okay? And then I showed you how other uh, people teach it, where you end up getting a blank region. So instead of shading the real region, you shade the opposite region. But whatever method you use, you have to be consistent, okay? If you are shading the opposite region, shade it for the 3 graphs you've been, lines, equations you've been given. If you do it for one, it won't work. You won't get the region, you get it wrong. Okay, so today again, I've brought 2 graphs. Okay, one, I shaded the actual region, okay, and I still got my region, and then the other, I shaded the opposite region, which came out as blank, okay, because there are different kinds of students and learners. At times you might have to give allowance to this, because some students, if you tell them shade the other actual region, they find it difficult to see where the 3 regions converge. Okay, so it's better to say shade the opposite region. So I'm going to show you both, and then you choose which one that you can clearly um, work with, so that you don't get muddied up. Okay, now the starter today is circle theorem. We've done circle theorem. Okay, so I'm just bringing some of the examples just to not let you forget. Okay, so here is a circle, a triangle is in it. Now the triangle, it it goes through the center, so it has a diameter, and then it has 2 chords. Remember, I showed you part of the circle earlier on in our videos, and then recently I showed you what a chord is. A chord doesn't pass through the center. It divides the circle such that you have a minor and a major segment. So BC is a chord, AB is also a chord. We want to find this angle here, okay? Using circle theorem, that angle will be 90 degrees, okay? So this angle here at B is 90 degrees, because this goes into the circle, and this chord and that chord will be at 90 degrees, okay? As long as they meet um, A and C uh, at the at, 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 at the diameter, they connect the diameter. That is a diameter here, okay? So that is 90 degrees. Now this is another circle theorem, but this is a cyclic quadrilateral. And I said to you, a quadrilateral have 4 sides, and all these sides are on the circumference. And the two opposite angles, this angle and that angle, should add up to 180. This angle and that angle should add up to 180. So the four angles will be 360. So if this angle here is 120, the opposite angle will be 60. So that it will add up to 180. So x here is 60, that one. So you take 180, 120 from 180, and then you get 60. Now, another example here. Okay, all these are circle theorem. So you have this angle, it goes through the center. Okay, it's like two triangles. Okay, there and there. Now, this angle here and that angle here, okay, on the side of the circumference on one side meet will be the same. So if this one is 35, that one will be 35. The angle here at the center will be 90. So if I want the angle here, I can subtract it from 90 and get this angle. Okay, because this angle here and that angle here will also be the same. Or I can just add this angle to 90 and subtract from 180, assuming I want this angle here. And this same angle will be equal to that angle. So if this is 35, that will be 35 as well. So that y is 35. That is y is 35 here. Another circle theorem. Okay, so today I'm just revising the circle theorems with you. Okay, please don't forget, these are simple things. You can get the marks on. Now the angle at the center, O, of the circle, and the angle at the circumference. So if I have this angle here, 102, then that angle is half of the, okay, half of the, so if this is 102, this will be 51. If this is 70, that will be 35. Okay, so 102 divided by 2 will give me the angle for x. So that is what I have here. Okay, so that is what I have here now. Okay, now today, as I said earlier, I'm going to do another example of equation of the lines with you. Okay, but this one is the same thing, but it involves inequality. It's not like draw the line x equals 0 or y equals x or y equals x plus 1. They will give you like x less or equal to. So you are going to be finding a region, or y greater or equal to minus 7, or y equals x plus 1. Okay, so they can give you these three lines. They can just give you three and say, just draw it and find the region. Okay, or and then make sure that your region is distinct. Yesterday when I finished, the region was distinct, and you realize that the vertices of we got a triangle. Okay, and the vertices, I'll encourage you to go and watch yesterday's video. The vertices were the same for both. It's just that one was plain and the other you could see the 3 shaded line going through. So I have done 2 graphs again to show you. Now the question might come like this: on your graph paper, which you might be provided on the exam, in the exam booklet, your answer booklet, draw the region which satisfies the inequality. So immediately you see that these are lines, but because of the less or equal to, greater or equal to, and less or equal to, they are inequalities. So you first draw the line x equals 3, okay, y equals -1, y equals 3x minus 2. Okay, after you've drawn that, then you find the region x less or equal to. So for me, I will say to you, draw each line, find the region, shade, or shade the opposite. Draw the second line, find the region, shade it, or shade the one opposite. It depends on what you've been taught. And draw the third line, shade, find the region, shade the actual space, or shade the one opposite. So if you shade the one opposite, while the 3 converge, you are going to get a blank space. Okay, if you shade the actual portion, you are going to get the 3 shaded bits, and then you can identify it. So you will choose which one is easier for you. Is that okay? So this is how the question will look like. So now, and then they'll say represent the region for your answer. So if they ask you to give the points somewhere, you give that. If they don't ask you anything, you draw it, and then you move on to your next questions. And this kind of questions, you will get full marks. Make sure when you are using a graph paper, you use a pencil, you use a right scale, okay, and then you use you give a title, okay, you represent your y and your x axis and your origin, and choose a reasonable scale. Okay, so represent clearly the region for your answer. So first of all, I'm going to draw x equals 3. Okay, so x, because I'm looking for x less than or equal to 3. So on my first graph, okay, on my first graph, that is the line x equals 3. That one here. Okay, that one here. This one here. It goes to the point 3. But let's look at the axis. So this is my y-axis. Okay, that is my y-axis. Yeah. That is my y, and that is my x. Okay. On the y-axis, I'll show you. I did 0, 1, all the way to 12. And then on the x-axis, I did 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this graph on the x-axis, I used 2 boxes for one, 2 boxes for another one, 2 boxes. But eye judgment is right. Okay. So that's what I did. Everything here. So a graph of x less than or equal to 3, greater y equals greater or equal to -1. Okay, is less or equal to 3x minus 2. Okay, and then on this graph, I use the actual region. Okay, for me the principle is, if you tell students to shade the region opposite, and they just give them one inequality like y equals y greater or equal to 3x plus 1, they might end up shading the region opposite. Okay, so that's what I'm taking my time to explain to you. And I think that is why I was taught to shade the actual region. Okay, so it's consistent. So at one time, I'm not shading the region opposite, because if they give you one graph and you shade the region opposite, you've done the work, but it's wrong. Okay, but in the case, the second graph, if you have three graphs and you are finding the region and you shade the region opposite, then you know that it's right, because at the end of the day, you are not drawing that graph, you are just finding a region. Is that okay? So you need to be careful about some of these things. Okay, that's why I'm showing you the two types ways you can deal with this question, so that you don't get um, into that uh, group of people that they gave them one graph and then they shaded the region opposite and still got it wrong. Okay, you need to be careful about this. So I'm going to show you how I was taught. Okay, so this is the line x equals to 3. Okay, now we want the region x less or equal to 3. So now I am going to show you x equal to 3. So if this line is x equals to 3, that line here, okay, anything on my left, all the region here is less or equal to 3. So 2, 1, 0, minus. So I shaded this part, all this side. Then I go to the next one, draw the line y equals -1. Okay, that is my line y equals -1 here, that one. Okay, that line. Okay, but I'm looking for greater or equal to -1. So it will be all the region upward here. Okay, so I've dealt with these simple lines. Okay, now I need to draw the line y equals 3x minus 2. Okay, you can use the table format. Okay, or you can just do it. So here I didn't use the table like I showed you yesterday. Okay, I just did it. So when x is 0, so I chose the point 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when it's 0, I substituted in this equation 3x minus 2. So when x is 0, 3x becomes 0, y is -2. So that is y here. So my first point is 0 minus 2. Okay. When x is 1, 3x will be 3 times 1, which is 3 minus 2, which is 1. So 1, 1. Okay. When x is equal to 2, y equals 3 times 2, which is 6, minus 2. Okay, so it will be 4. So x is 2, y is 4. When x is 3, y is 3 times x 9 minus 2, which will be 7. So you get the coordinate 3, 7. So you are going to get 4 points. Okay, you can do 4 points. Don't do more than 4. You can even do 2, and you can just get it. But just to be sure that you drew the actual straight line, just do 4 if you've not been given any point. So 0 minus 2. So here on my graph, that is 0 and then minus 2. So that's the first point. 1, 1. So here again, 1 on the x-axis and 1. So that will be the second point. 2, 4. So here, 2 here, that's 2, and that's 4. So this will be the third point. And then 3, 7. So 3 here, and then 7 all the way up there here. And then you use a long ruler, okay, or a ruler, and join them together there. Okay. Now you have to find the region. You are looking for the region y, okay, less this region here, y less or equal to 3x minus 2. Okay. So now you need to investigate. If you draw the line, that is the origin. So how do I know the region is above the line or below the line? So I'll substitute 0, 0 in the equation. So y is 0 less or equal to 3x, x is 0, is 0 minus 2. 0 less or equal to minus 2 is false. Okay, it's false. So the actual region will be below the line. So now here, I come to my graph. This is my line here that I've drawn. I've labeled it here. So all these parts, okay, will be the region that satisfy this inequality y less, okay, or equal to 3x minus 2. Okay. So now let's see what we've done now here. The line that we drew, y less or equal to 3x minus 2, that would be the region here. Okay. Y greater or equal to 1. So that's the line. And then everything greater is above. So that's the line here. X less or equal to 3. So this is x, and everything here will be the region we want. Okay. Now look at the pattern. It can't be these regions. You can see it. Okay, that these regions, the shading is different. Okay, look at that one here. Look at, but if you look at here, you can see that all the 3 shades go through. So from here all the way there, all the way there, that is the region you want. So you can use your pencil and draw it a bit thicker than I have done here. Okay, so that the examiner knows that, and you can label it A, B, C, and say the region required is A, B, C. Okay, so as I said to you, this is how I was taught. Okay, but some students, they go by this method and they can't differentiate the region. So other tutors said, okay, um, instead of shading the actual region, shade the opposite region. Okay, so now here again, now here the x-axis, sorry, the x-axis here now, look at it. Instead of the first graph I did, okay, the first graph I did, that I used two boxes, one on the x-axis, the y-axis I used the same interval. Okay, so here on the y-axis, the same interval up to 12 and a bit of negative up to -7. On the y-axis, instead of doing two boxes, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is my origin here, and I did the same here. Okay, so here that will be my x. That is my line y equals -1. So instead of finding y equals greater 1, which would be the region upward, as I did in the graph 1, I shaded the region opposite. Okay, but you have to be consistent with this. I can't stretch that much, because if you are not consistent, you are going to, don't shade one line opposite and then the other one the same on the same graph. You won't get that. Okay, and then the next one, y equals 1. So this is my graph. That is y equals 1. So everything below that, okay, will be y less. But I wanted y greater or equal to. So I will shade the region opposite. Then y equals x. This x equals 3. Okay, x equals 3. I want the region x less or equal to. So instead of shading the line to my left, I shade it to the right. So I'm shading the opposite again. Then I use the coordinate I plotted to draw my line y equals 3x minus 2. Okay, now this is the line here, there, okay, up to there. Okay, now the region we know is the region downwards because we've investigated, but now here I'm going to shade the opposite. So now you can see that I have A, B, C. The only difference is that on the x-axis, instead of using two boxes, I use one box for each unit. Okay, so because of that, I have a smaller base for the graph, but it's the same thing. So now A, B, C here is the region which is blank, which you can see. Here I've redrawn that required region is blank, space, ABC. Okay, but here I've written shading opposite region. That is my same graph. Okay, so a graph with common region for this inequalities, but here I'm shading the opposite. Unlike this one, I'm shading the right region. So I'll show you the two graphs again. When you shade the region opposite, you are going to come up with this blank space. If you shade the right region, you will see the three different shades going through, and it's still the A, B, C. Okay. So yeah. So this is how some of these questions will come. Okay, so I have explained everything. I've explained graph one, so I've just talked you through everything I've written here on my notes. Okay, and I've explained everything to you. Okay, so please share with your friends. If you are watching the video and you like it, subscribe. Um, Follow us if it won't cost you anything. If they are going to charge you for it, please don't do it. Go to another platform that is free to subscribe. It's free to subscribe on YouTube, okay? Um, so yeah. So follow my notes/scripts, okay? And beware of scammers. Thank you very much for watching today's video with me, and I'll see you in the next.